another week without Terry. This is week freaking, 5.
That is friggin' weak.
Yeah. So, in the spirit of Terry, I wanted to ask...
We're covering monstrosities?
Well, in your opinion, guys, what is the most terrifying monstrosity in 5th edition if it was real? Like in real life? Oh my, I got Dan drinking it.
I legit just about sprayed Coke Zero across this table.
Sponsor us.
Sponsor us. Okay, so what's the most... Say it again. I was trying not to die.
Well, okay, in real life, what would be the most terrifying monstrosity from 5th edition?
Okay.
What I get? I got a 19.
I lost with a 15.
Oh, shit, there you go.
I got an 18.
What is the most terrifying...
I will tell you, there are all sorts of things out there that are like vicious and horrible and ugly and nasty. But the thing,
Dan,
no, but I was done speaking. But the thing, mimics. You think people have anxiety issues now? What about not being able to trust the fucking chair you're in? It's all about mimics for me. That, like, mimics, I'm thinking doppelgangers, dark mantles, cloakers, that whole thing, right? Like that, piercers, anything that looks like something that it isn't.
Yeah.
But mimics with the ability to be anything. So I'm thinking of John Carpenter's The Thing, right? Where it could be anyone at any time, but it was also dogs.
Oh, it wasn't like Thing, the hand from the Addams Family?
No, it also wasn't part of the Fantastic Four.
Okay.
But, I think that would be terrifying. People would be, you think you have locks on your house now when you leave? You would have blast shields so that nothing would get in and mimic your pillow. And they would just get more and more creative as they evolve too. So you've got like toilet mimics. At your most vulnerable, they're coming after your dangly bits.
I dislike everything that you're saying, and I am not comfortable with any of this. But
mimic, that's got to be the most terrifying. Anyway, who rolled next highest? Dave, what's yours?
I went with the Abominable Yeti. Just because, I mean, you're outside in the snow in the winter.
You're vulnerable, like you don't have help.
Well, it's not just that. It's the amount of sound that is muffled, being in that climate.
We need to record in, like, a snowfield. It would be better than this room.
Yeah, it really would be.
Yeah. But,
you don't hear the bump, 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 bump. You hear...
Yeah, and I mean, these things can detect you from miles away. They can smell you. They can hear you. They know what you're doing, where you're going, and they can sneak up on you. Like, they're just in an isolation, like in a place where you feel isolated already. Now you've got to be watching for something
that is bigger than you.
It's 18 feet tall. Like, I mean, they're 3 times bigger than an average man, right? So your average man's like 6 feet, 18 feet. It's nuts.
And even looking at them, they've got like that chilling gaze, and they've got cold breath. They have a breath weapon.
Yep.
Right. I mean, when you run into one of these things, you're fucked. They
creep me out in an already potentially creepy scenario.
Yeah, there's something particularly horrifying about just being out in like the cold isolation of the winter. Just being up, and I know that you like to go hunting and snow doesn't stop you, but when you're in a log cabin on the other side of the mountain where there's no one around for dozens of miles, and suddenly you hear footsteps, that's got to be the worst.
Yeah, well, I mean, it goes back to like even when we were doing the Call of Cthulhu, the Great White Hunter.
There was a baleful howl. No, but really, the Yeti howling through the mountains would be terrifying.
I mean, it's more than just what it can physically do to you. It's what it can do to your sanity as well.
The cabin fever aspect of it?
Yeah, I mean, even though you're in an open area, you're still claustrophobic.
The other thing that I like about the Abominable Yeti is the fact that it's not just, like, you hear it howling out there and you're like, oh, it's a Yeti that's nearby. And then it sounds really, really, really close. But you can't find the Yeti. And it's still getting louder and louder. And you don't have just a regular one. This thing is coming for you. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah, man, I get that. That would be that there's no amount of safety indoors from this thing either, right?
No. It'll bash through walls in order to get to livestock. Like
Yeah, you're not hiding in your tent.
No.
there's no safety.
See, you went with top of the mountains and you went inside your house. I went for below sea level. Let's do like a swampy, the frog behemoth. For me, if I'm walking through, like, we live in an area that has mountains, has kind of all terrain, but I work in one of the areas here that has a lot of swamps. And the idea of just walking to work one day and all of a sudden a, 20-foot tall, 3-eyed mouth with tentacles erupts out of the street next to me, swallows me whole and disappears before I have a chance to realize what's going on. Just terrifies the hell out of me. There's so much about a froghemoth, the long range, the tentacles, like it is nightmare fuel. It is probably some of the close of the monstrosities to Cthulhuid in terms of horror.
And that's not just because of tentacles either. It's because of the weirdness.
It's weird. It's aquatic.
Despite the goofy name of it.
Yeah, despite the goofy name. But yeah, froghemoths are massive. They're terrifying. They are nigh unkillable. They are a thing you know the old saying, it doesn't matter how fast you run when you're fighting a bear, it's making sure you run faster than the
guy beside you.
The guy beside you. Yeah, that's what a froghemoth is.
Yeah, you don't have to outrun the bear, you have to outrun your friend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotta outrun your friend on this one. Like it's
yeah, this thing's coming for you.
Yeah, 100%. And they're always hungry.
I also like the idea that they can act as a smaller problem as well. Like the tentacle can reach in through a mail slot and get you. It's not just the big beast of the Abominable Yeti. Yeah, is going to bust through the wall, but the froghemoth is going to come in through the ductwork. Yeah, you seen Deep Rising? Mm-hmm. It's like that.
Like if a frog and an octopus had a baby.
Frogtopus.
Welcome to It's a Mimic with your DMs, Adam, Dan, and
Dave!
Welcome to another episode of the It's a Mimic podcast, the Roundtable Dungeons & Dragons discussion, where you never know what you're going to get. I'm Adam, and with me today are Dan and Dave, and today we're talking about monstrosities. This is our very first episode in our series that we're calling Port-FOE-lios.
Har!
You guys suck. I miss Terry. Anyway, so where we're starting to look at the big bads, we talked about the mobs for an entire year in year 1. Year 2, we're starting to look at the big, nasty bad guys, your tier 4 guys that are going to really fuck you up. And that's what these monstrosities we're talking about today are.
We went from the army of small things to the army of one.
Exactly. So, but what is a monstrosity? It's a monstrous beast, okay? It often has some sort of magical power or spell-like ability, and they tend to be low intelligence, although that's not necessarily true. Nope. There are some that are very intelligent and that have high wisdom or high charisma, but as a general rule, they tend not to have a language, or they've got one of those languages that's only theirs, that they understand it, but they can't speak it, for example. So, they're pretty ferocious as a general rule as well, and they're about killing and murdering and maiming and eating. It's all about the food chain with these guys, right? So they're pretty common. They're one of the most common of the monster types. Monstrosity is. Each one of the smaller monsters will be either more or fewer of them, depending on how prolific they are. Some
of them are even playable races.
What?
Like minotaurs.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, centaurs as well now. But they range from similar to some common animals. Like the cave dweller is really just a really big bug. Mm-hmm. But they also go super freaking bizarre. Like we talked about the cold open with the froghemoth, right?
Yeah.
So they can be hard to look at. They're so ugly sometimes, or they don't necessarily challenge your sanity like an aberration does, but you don't really want to have one of these guys as a pet. You know what I mean? So, there are over 80 different monstrosities in 5th edition to date. 79 of them are in the bestiaries. So there are a shit ton of them. Mm-hmm. Between the Monster Manual, Volos, and Mordenkainen's, we get 79. And then, they have 3 or 4 unique creatures in the back of every campaign.
Yeah, there's a few in the back of Saltmarsh. There's a few in the back of Avernus.
Yeah, but there's some in Tomb of Annihilation and in Curse of Strahd. Every one of these adventure books has more because they needed to create something. And almost every one of them has an additional 1 or 2 monstrosities as well. So they're absolutely everywhere. And you can usually find them on the prime material plane, but I'm not kidding. They're everywhere. These are not like celestials that aren't going to be hanging out in like Gehenna. These guys can show up depending on which one. You're going to find a monstrosity on every plane. On the ethereal plane and the astral plane, like there are tons.
Yep.
And they're usually outside of civilization. They're in the wilderness. Although, again, it's not always true. Some, like cloakers and doppelgangers, are very much in society.
Yes.
And blending in. So they go from CR 1/8 to CR 17. They're encountered at every tier, although some monstrosities are found even beyond that in the epic tiers, beyond level 20. So that's CR 21 and above. These are known as Titans, and that's what we're covering today.
Yeah.
Now the DMG says, I had to look this up because I'm like, what the fuck is a Titan? Because a Titan used to be a kind of creature, like it was another kind of angel. It was Titans like Greek mythology.
Yeah.
Now those are called Empyreans. And Titan is a subclass. And here's what it says in the DMG. I'm going to just read it directly. Titans are the divine creations of deities. They might be birthed from the union of 2 deities, manufactured on a divine forge, born from the blood spilled by a god, or otherwise brought about through divine will or substance.
Cool.
Yeah. But I got a question. Isn't that like literally everything? Would not elves then be Titans? Because they sprang from the blood of Corellon?
Yeah, but they're also humanoids, so they're going to focus on
but it doesn't say that they have to be monstrosities.
Yeah. Well, all of the I know the ones we're covering today, and for the vast majority of Titans, they're still all gargantuan creatures.
Yes, as a general rule. They can be smaller. I mean, there's, as we're going to talk about, there's the Kraken, but also the juvenile Kraken is huge and not gargantuan, right?
Yep.
So, but yes, we're thinking big. These Titans are huge. They're not all monstrosities. Some Titans, like the Empyrean, is still considered a Titan.
Okay.
And there are some creatures that are up in the epic level tiers that you think should be Titans,
but aren't.
And have been directly created by gods or demon lords or whatever, but they're not considered Titans. They're considered fiends or celestials or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
So, the merit, for example, is just a construct. You'd think it should be a Titan, but it isn't. So, the 3 that we're going to cover today are the Astral Dreadnought, the Kraken, and the Tarrasque. So, guys, we each chose one before we did our research. I want to roll off to see what order we're going to cover them in.
Okay.
Before we get started really quickly, that's the order that of like danger with them too. The Astral Dreadnought is CR 21, the Kraken is CR 23, and the Tarrasque is CR 30. It sits at the very top of what's published. I mean, that's God level power.
That's more than God level power.
A lot of the time, yeah. So, yeah, when you get the stat block for Tiamat, she's not level 30.
Nope.
So, the difficulty, the craziness of trying to fight these guys, it's nearly impossible. It's over the top, and you're not going to be able to take these on without a significant amount of research and prep as a party. So, let's roll initiative to see who's going to pitch what, and then at the end of each section, we're going to talk about a couple of unique ideas we have for the monsters.
Yep.
So this is going to be a little bit different. The format of this episode, all the portfolios are going to be like this. All right. Where we kind of pit monsters against each other. And at the end of the episode, I want to know which one is your guys' favorite to use. Okay. In a campaign. Not necessarily the most powerful. I mean, it's written on the stat blocks anyway.
Yep.
But which one is your favorite that you want to inject in your next campaign? All right.
I got an 8.
I got a 17.
I got a 16.
Alrighty, so I'm going to start off with the Astral Dreadnought because I got to go first, and I'm better than you guys.
Well, the Astral Dreadnaught's better than us.
Yeah, so the Astral Dreadnought is... Look, they come from the astral plane, and they appear suddenly out of the mists in the astral plane. They are consistently hunting and moving around. They've existed since the beginning of the multiverse, and they attack anything that they encounter. In previous editions, they used to be guardians between the planes. But now, because we've gone from the Astral Sea back to the astral plane, it is very much just these gigantic hunters out in the mists, the swirling mists, and they're so big, it just looks like the mists get dark in that region for a while. Because, again, gargantuan. These things are coming at you. They're not aligned, which means they're not evil. They're just hungry.
They're just there.
Yeah. These guys are as big as an ancient red dragon. They're covered in thick, gray, hairless natural armor and spikes. Their top half is almost humanoid, with a head, face, and 2 arms, but the arms end in massive claws the size of small buildings. And the hideous faces that they have one cycloptic eye and a massive maw of jagged teeth that are always seen by their disturbing rictus grin. They never close their mouths. They're always slavering and dripping with saliva as they come at you. If they are over top of you, you get wet before they kill you. Their bottom half is more of the same spiky armored gray flesh, but it trails off behind them like a slug. These things are
gross,
nasty. Oh yeah, these are nightmare. This is something that would haunt your dreams. If you saw one of these come out of the mists at you and then disappear, you think of the paranoia that you would have just in the mists. Anyway, so they've got a bunch of mechanics. They're found in Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. And I'm going to go through this really, really quickly. They've got a shit ton of hit points, but because, of course, they do, there's CR21. Their AC is 20, which is not as high as I thought it would be, but you really want to hit this, and repeatedly over and over and over again.
Yep.
Their speed is only 15 feet around, but they fly 80, which means they slug along, but they can swoop down out of the air, out of nowhere. You think about how thick those mists are. Suddenly this thing is on you and is gone again.
That's pretty good for a creature that large. Like, that's
a movement
legitimately
speed.
Terrifying.
Yeah. This is not just big; it's fast, and they hover, so they don't even have to be on the ground.
Anything you have that's generating difficult terrain is ignored.
Yeah, pretty much.
You're not slowing them down.
Their strength and con are through the roof, which is what you expect, but their charisma is stupid high too. Their wisdom is a little bit above average. Their dex is below average. It's not tanked, but it's not great, which is going to be really helpful for a lot of these fireball spells that you're going to be throwing at it. And its intelligence is low. So low that it has no languages. It's got a couple of decent saving throws. Considering its wisdom is so low and its dex is so low, it's surprising that those two are the ones that get the boosts, the buffs. But that just means that they've got a lot of good saving throws. So they've got a decent perception. And, of course, at this level, they've got that damage resistance to the standard non-magical damages. Everything does by the time you're CR21, so that's not really wrecking your group too much.
No,
not at all.
By this level, by the time you're going to run into one of these, even if you're running into it early, level 17, you've got shit to fight it, right? However, it is immune to charmed, exhaustion, frightened, paralyzed, petrified, poisoned, prone, and stunned.
Dear Lord.
So you're not taking this thing out of battle. It's coming at you.
Yeah.
And this is you can run, but you can't hide because its perception's high, and it's still probably faster than you. The way you're getting away from this is to split up. That way it'll only eat one of you.
Yep.
It has dark vision of 120 feet and passive perception of 19. So it knows you are there.
That's crazy.
Yep. So here's where it starts to get stupid. Let me go through and it's a legendary creature. Okay, so it gets legendary actions and legendary resistances. It has an anti-magic cone, which its open eye can create like an anti-magic field spell in a 150-foot cone. So, yeah.
This is the thing that makes me think these are just beholders gone crazy.
I feel like whoever made these also made beholders.
Yeah. Like they have a little bit of a beholder with that one central eye, big grinning maw. And like there are spikes and stuff coming off this thing's head.
The way the eye stalks do.
The way the eye stalks do. Like this thing feels to me like someone made the beholder and went,
I can do more
bigger.
with this, yeah.
Bigger,
meaner, and more physical.
Yeah. We don't need more eye stalks. Let's give it lobster claws.
Yep. So,
So you can blind it.
Okay, that's not one of the things it's immune to. And if it's blinded or its eyes closed, the anti-magic field doesn't work.
Yep.
It is also considered an astral entity, which means it cannot leave the astral plane. It can't be banished or otherwise transported out of it either. Which means all of
It's here to stay.
Yeah, it's literally bound to this plane of existence.
So the Astral Dreadnought, what you're telling me so far is that this thing is here, and you are going to fight it, and you do not have a choice.
That's right.
There is no easy out. It is a fight.
Yeah. Also, its weapon attacks are considered magical.
Of course
And if you are projecting with the astral projection spell, then you have that silvery cord. You can go listen to our astral plane episode, right? But you have that silvery cord that comes out of the back of your head, and if it's cut, you die.
Yep.
It can, if it scores a critical hit against you by any means, the dreadnought can cut the target's silver cord instead of dealing damage.
Instantly killing them.
Instant kill.
No save, no nothing.
This is one of the two reasons that it is considered a CR21. Allow me to tell you the other crazy batshit part of this, because this thing does not have a normal stomach. Any creature or object that it swallows is going to be transported into a demiplane that can be entered by no other means except a wish spell, or this creature's visit ability, which is one of its legendary actions. You can leave the demiplane only by using magic that enables planar travel, such as the plane shift spell. The demiplane resembles a stone cave, roughly 1,000 feet in diameter, with a ceiling 1,000 feet high. Like a stomach, it contains the remains of the dreadnought's past meals. The dreadnought so I don't think it has an anus. That's what I'm getting from this. The dreadnought can't
It's weird that that's where you went first.
Oh, I was going to the anus first, Dave. The dreadnought can't be harmed from within the demiplane. So you can blow up whatever you want here. You can mold earth at this stone cave that you're in, but it's not going to hurt. You're not
cutting your way out.
No. If it dies, the demiplane disappears and everything inside it appears around the corpse. So you're not trapped there forever if it dies by accident. But the demiplane is otherwise indestructible.
That's amazing. I especially love the fact that these things are ageless.
Yep.
They have swallowed a ton of crap. Now, can you just imagine your party finally gets through the slog of killing this thing? You know, everyone's beat. You probably lost one or two party members.
500 Gith Yankee come out.
And then 500 Gith Yankee come out pissed off.
Yeah. They're cannibalistic because there used to be 1,000 of them, but there's no food in there.
Yeah.
And it's stone, so you can't grow anything.
But it's also the Astral Sea. There's flowing rocks everywhere. These things don't close their mouth. So also, here's a 20 by 20 foot boulder.
Yeah.
Bamf!
Well, I mean, I think they probably do close their mouths. It's just like, they don't have lips. No. I think their teeth are gonna... But look, I haven't gotten to its actions yet. It has 3 attacks with multi-attack. 1 with a bite and 2 with a claws. The bite is a plus 16. It's got 10-foot reach, and it's 5d10 plus 9 piercing. If it's huge or smaller, and the damage reduces it to 0 hit points, or it's incapacitated, then it's swallowed. So remember, you are auto-swallowed if you hit 0 hit points, which means the cleric can't help you. The swallowed target, along with everything it's wearing and carrying, appears in an unoccupied space on the floor of the Astral Dreadnought's demiplanar dungeon. It also gets 2 weapon attacks with the claws per turn, plus 16 to hit again, reaches 20 feet, and you get 3d6 plus 9 slashing damage.
Yikes.
So 5d10 plus 9, and then 2 3d6 plus 9 around. And you're going to hit.
Yep.
Right? With a plus 16, you're going to hit. That paladin with I have 24 AC because I min-maxed the shit out of it. Doesn't matter. I have to roll above an 8. I've got what's the math on that? 65% chance of hitting you.
That's crazy.
And it has legendary actions, which, I mean, it still has can take 3 legendary actions, choosing from the options below. It can only use 1 at a time, and it regains them at the start of its next turn. So it makes another claw attack. That's one of them. Here's one, the Donjon Visit. I hate that it's Donjon, and this pops up in 5th edition all over the place. Why can't we just say dungeon?
Is that what that is?
That's what it means, yeah. The deck of any things, when you pull the donjon card, you get transported to a dungeon.
We must go to the donjon.
Oh, I know. And I wonder if this is some medieval spelling or something from the past. Right?
I'm curious about that too. Like I don't
know the origin of this is, but it makes me like twitch a little bit. You looking it up, Dan?
Yeah, I'm gonna look it up.
Okay, so it can cost 2 actions. One creature that is huge or smaller that the Astral Dreadnought can see within 60 feet of it needs to save on a DC 16 Charisma save or be magically teleported inside the demiplane as well. If it can see you, bang, you're gone. At the end of the target's next turn, the target reappears in the space it left, or the nearest unoccupied space if that space is occupied. So you just got a quick little visit there, but you do go there. So here's what's interesting to me is this is not a spell, because he obviously has the anti-magic cone up from his eye, and he's got to be able to see you within 60 feet for this to work. So this is just something it does inherently. It's weird that it has planar travel and like built into it, and yet it can't leave the Astral Sea. This is why it really does fit the idea of being a Titan. The last thing is that it has a psychic projection. Each creature within 60 feet of it must make a DC 19 Wisdom save, taking 2d10 plus 4 psychic damage, or half as much on a successful save. So it can just do psychic damage too, which is the last thing that you're resistant to. That and force damage, right? It's hard to come across those in 5th ed. So this thing is just handing out damage every round and then swallowing its victims. And if it's sick and tired of the barbarian hitting it, it is going to use a legendary action to just force a charisma save, teleport him into the demiplane for a round, beat up on everybody else, and the barbarian comes back, at which point it can do it again with another legendary action because a round has gone by. So it can effectively remove someone from the battlefield repeatedly. This thing never stops being a threat. And it's if it can see you. So it's going to see the wizard. Which means its eyes open, anti-magic field, nothing you can do about it, no counterspell. Bam! The heavy hitter, the evoker at level 20 is now in its stomach and just sits there for a round as it swoops in, fucks up everybody else, and then drops the wizard back. It disappears into the mists, waits 6 seconds, and does it again.
Yikes.
This thing deserves its challenge rating.
It honestly, I think it should be higher.
Normally when I see stuff like this, I'm like, well, the action economy doesn't work in your favor. A level 20 fighter gets 5 attacks, so on and so forth, right? It still has the action economy and the movement, and sure, go ahead and hit it. It has 1 million freaking hit points, right? You're not using your special powers on a reaction that flies by you.
17d20. Yikes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yep. Plus 119. Right. So this thing is just, it's brutally effective at what it does. And I would say that there are probably very few of them in the astral plane.
Yeah, these aren't an everyday occurrence.
This does not go on a random table that you're rolling.
This is the thing that the Githyank. Well, no, I think it is a 100 on the random table because because you might happen across the one of legend inside of this area that even the Gith who live in this area fear and flee from, will abandon their cities, their nesting pools, will abandon all of their portals, everything to get away from this thing.
No, I'm saying when you are level 7. This is not on the random.
Oh, yeah. When you're level 7, no.
So when you're level 20, maybe. Like tier 4, maybe. So that way you can plane shift out or wake up or whatever it is. Just be like, I'm just noping out, right? Because you cannot fight this thing. And if it knows you're there, it's coming for you.
Yeah. So I looked it up real quick. Donjon is different from the word dungeon. It's actually where we get the word dungeon from.
Yeah.
But it's French. And it is the innermost keep of a castle. It is not, it usually infers a tower type of thing. So above ground, locked away keep or prison is what a donjon.
So Rapunzel.
Kind of Rapunzel-like. Rapunzel would have been locked in a donjon, yes. English brought in the dung part of dungeon, which was to imply something buried, excrement, like that kind of like subground thing. It's also a word that's popular in any sort of hell reference, as in underground. So that's why a dungeon is underground and a donjon is like this locked away prison that is
impenetrable. I like that. Sure. Yeah. Cool. Anyways, do you guys have any? Let's roll initiative. I want to know, do you guys have a set piece encounter that you would use the thing
100%. 13.
You're going first.
9.
Okay, so there's not a lot of creatures that you could fight on the back of in D&D.
Yeah,
okay.
That's where I'm starting with this one.
Okay.
We're covering 2 of them today, and one of them is the Astral Dreadnought. I see you having a fight on a floating Astral Dreadnought as it goes through the Astral Sea, doing what you need to do to kill it. And it's got such a thick hide made of stone and just...
It's not stone, it's like armor plating.
Like armor
There's
plating?
spikes coming off it all over.
So it's an environmental issue where you're fighting on it and you have these spikes. And you are fighting, I don't know, maybe some Gith who are grabbing you and throwing you in front of it to get swallowed up, or trying to engineer a way to get you to be seen by it, right?
Well, I think it's got to know that you're there. Its passive perception has picked it up.
Yeah, but I would have it where it's somewhere on the slug tail it can't reach with its claws.
This is how you could involve your level 7 party with one of these without actually engaging
as an environmental
It knows you're there, but it knows you're not a threat.
Okay, so, but here's my thing, okay. I hear what you're saying. And yes, this guy, he's beefy. This guy lifts. You can look at the picture and be like, yeah, man, the dude focuses on his glamour muscles, definitely.
Skipped leg day, though.
Yeah. So he doesn't...
He skipped a leg, everything.
I think this is the first time we ever made a Jim reference, and Terry isn't here.
Who's
so...
Jim?
Who's Terry?
So... I feel you're right. He's probably not reaching back to hit you, but he's going to definitely turn upside down and shake you off.
Yeah,
dude can fly.
That could be part of it, like a initiative order 20, as like a quote unquote lair action.
Yeah, it's an environmental issue.
He's going to try to shake you off.
But remember, you can't be swallowed unless you are at 0 hit points.
Yep,
that's the thing. Which means, oh man, at 5d10 and then 3d6 and then 3d6 again with the +9s, that's a minimum of what 30. That you're taking, right? If you get hit 3 times by this thing, you need to be higher levels to even consider encountering this thing.
But the other thing I love about it, just even as not necessarily a combat set piece, because a lot of these 3 things I don't want to fight in a D&D game. To be honest, they are threats to avoid. Right, so you are trying to find ways around these, not to directly confront them.
Yeah, to get through the encounter and gain the experience.
Yeah,
you're not having to kill it.
So what I would do is with the Astral Dreadnought, it stores all this stuff inside of its donjon. You need something from in there, and you know you're not killing it. So you know the only way in is a wish, or by getting dropped to 0 hit points, getting swallowed, whatever you need to do to get in there. So there's also aspects of that I would try to play with these guys. I freaking love Astral Dreadnoughts. There's so many things you could use with them, and they are way too under CR'd in my opinion. But that's me.
Yeah, you see, okay, Dave, you roll next.
Yeah, so on the second page where that covers Astral Dreadnoughts, there's a little blurb at the bottom that I really latched onto. It says, Astral Dreadnoughts exist for one reason, hubris. Not the hubris of mortals, but the hubris of gods who deem themselves too mighty to be approached and looked upon. I like the idea of using its stomach donjon as kind of the gateway to get to the god. It's how...
So it's a Trojan horse.
Yeah, you got to hide inside of it to get there. You use it not as an encounter, something to fight, but something that gets you to where you need to be. Yeah, and I thought that was kind of an interesting...
Yeah. There is some lore on it. I mean, it's got Titanic nature, which means that it doesn't require air, food, drink, or sleep, which is, considering that it's always hunting and will attack anything, it doesn't need to eat. So I wonder if it ignores small creatures. It'll just ignore the halfling and go after the Githyanki ship nearby that it senses. The other thing that I didn't really touch on is that These things were created by Tarrasque, who is one of Dan's favorite gods.
Yeah, I love that guy.
He's known as the Chained God, and they were meant to discourage people from plane hopping through the astral plane. That's standard. They used to be guardians, and now they're not. They're just straight up hunters, just forces of nature to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
So the did you have a big set piece fight or anything that you wanted?
Not particularly. I just like the idea of using it as
somewhere to hide.
Yeah, somewhere to get you past. I mean, gods are crazy. They can see you from miles away. But maybe if you're hiding inside this extra plane,
it's scry proof.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, this thing would 100% be scry proof.
Even from gods.
And so. It's an agent of the god. Perhaps you can use this to your advantage to, spring a trap. Something like that.
Yeah, you have to go strike a deal with a god who owns one of these in order to assault the keep of another god who is, the focus of your campaign, right? To get in there to get something, right?
Yep.
Okay, so my big thing about it, which I think we didn't really touch on, these things are hunted by the Githyanki, although the Githyanki are rarely successful.
Yeah.
Right? So they will go out on these hunting parties to kill them. But I'm sitting here going, why? I mean, they don't procreate. They can't make more of them. There's a set number of them, and if they die, that's it. There's no more coming. So the population only shrinks and never grows, but they're so powerful that it rarely shrinks as well. So there's a finite number of them, and maybe the Githyanki just need to get rid of them. But you remember the Githyanki have these silvered swords that can cut through anything, and they're called silver swords, but they're not actually made of silver.
Yeah, they're like this weird metallic.
What if that is inherently, it's made in the melted down carapace from the claws of Astral Dreadnoughts. And the big set piece here is you need to go kill one and harvest its claws.
Cool.
So that you can now cut the cords of anyone who is coming to get you.
No, that's badass. That also really fits. Yeah, no, I'm 100% on board with that.
At level 15 that eventually you'll have to do this. In order for you to get to that final fight at level 20, you need to have this. So you spend 4 or 5 levels, no sessions, levels, building up to being able to take one of these bastards on, right? Mm-hmm. And remember, if you get swallowed, you are making death saves because you're at 0 hit points. You're making death saves, and anyone else who comes into this realm with you is also making death saves and is unconscious. So there's no help. Unless you have a Zealot Barbarian who's technically at 0 hit points. So would get swallowed, but would still be awake.
Yep.
Right? And he's got 1 round now because he's going to lose his rage and die in a moment. Right? So he's got to show up, force feed you a potion, and hope something inside the dungeon is going to destroy him. He's going to keep hitting him and he'll keep fighting, right?
Yeah.
This is getting swallowed is like, oh, so you're not actually dead and you're not in the stomach, and man, it's not good though. It's not good. So anyway, I really like the Astral Dreadnought. I think that this was Dan, when we were doing the Astral Plane episode, and you were like, oh, and then the Astral Dreadnought, I'm like, stop talking about it. So I want to talk about this guy.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorites, and he just looks evil. A lot of things look creepy or undead. This thing looks evil, and I know it's unaligned, but it wants to fuck you up.
Okay, cool.
So, let's cut to a commercial before we do the next one. I think it was it Dave that rolled next highest?
Yeah. Hey guys, Dan here with It's a Mimic. I'm here with Adam, and we have a couple exciting announcements to throw at you guys.
Yeah, we have a couple new social media sites that we're really happy and excited about being a part of, including TikTok, and we have our own subreddit now, which is r/It's a Mimic.
Yep, we're also starting a second channel that is going to be live play focused. It's going to be our actual play stuff, so it's going to be where you can find all of our old Call of Cthulhu, our Wizard's Tower, our Christmas special, as well as future projects coming down the pipe, like a new Call of Cthulhu.
Yes, we've got a couple of fun things coming with Call of Cthulhu this year, and we're already gearing up for it. So anyways, we've got these 2 channels, we've got this new social media, but what we would really like is to ask you guys for a little bit of help. we don't have a Kickstarter, we don't have a Patreon, we don't have a GoFundMe. We have a dinky little donations button down in the bottom of our website, but we're not even asking you for money right now. We're asking for your voices.
Yeah, so word of mouth is super important to get the word out on the new channel, the new social media outlets that we're engaging in now.
So if you could do more than just lend us your ears and lend us your voices as well, whether it's on Reddit or through our regular Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, whatever it is, cross posts, links, whatever you can do to give us a hand here would help a lot. We are eternally grateful, and that's why we want to give you guys more of a voice as well, which we talk about in the shoutout and the campaign builder, and we'll be moving forward with more interesting ways of audience interaction as well.
So, again, thank you guys so much for listening, and I don't know about you, Adam. I'm really excited for year 2 as we're moving on here.
Yeah, I really think... Hey, look, I'm
damn
you.
it, Adam.
So I've got the Tarrasque. I think the Tarrasque is probably the biggest, baddest of all of these. Of course, it's challenge rating level 30, but I mean, you really feel it. When you look at the Astral Dreadnought, the experience from it gives you like 33,000 experience or something. The Tarrasque gives you 155,000.
At this point, you're fighting this thing after you give a shit about experience.
Yeah, you don't care, but I mean, just think of like that, the difference between them. That's huge.
Everyone can tell that you're from 3.5 because you care about experience.
That's monstrous.
I get it.
Because it's a monstrosity.
Hey, good job, Dan.
You're doing a hell of a job, yeah.
So the Tarrasque is, I mean, if you've been playing D&D long enough, you know what a Tarrasque is. I've tried to build these into a couple of campaigns that I've done because they have a reputation.
Also, they have a reputation for being difficult to pronounce as well. A lot of people, I've heard by multiple people called a Tarrasque.
Weird.
Oh, yeah, I know. And we just inherently know that because of all of our experience. Oh, this is a Tarrasque. But I've run into a lot of new players who don't know how to pronounce this. This is one of the things that they
Is that a French thing, though?
It's
because Q-U-E, we go K, and they, like...
Not necessarily.
Tarrasque.
Tarrasque.
The Tarrasque, it's not really known where it's from. I mean, compared to some of the other ones, you know that they're going to be coming from certain places. This is almost mythical. Most people think that it comes from the core of the earth. It dwells underground, and nobody really knows when it's going to come back to strike.
It goes away, slumbers for a while. People forget it actually exists. It becomes a thing of myth and legend until all of a sudden, oh, fuck, here it is again.
Exactly. It comes back and it's holy
Guess
shit.
who's back? Back again.
Tarrasque's back.
Call your friends?
No, literally, all of them. Call all of your friends right the fuck now. Get them here. You need help.
No, leave. Don't even try.
No, yeah. Leave your friends to die.
These things, they have a strength of 30. Which is crazy. They have a constitution of 30, which is crazy. Their dex is only 11. I mean, they're big. Their wisdom and charisma also.
Yeah, but all three of those are standard stats, though. Like, that's still we say that that's average, but it's still better than most peasants get.
Sure. But I mean, it makes up for it. They're really dumb. With a 3 intelligence. And again,
they're borderline animal.
Yeah. They're primal. They've got a blind sight of 20 feet and a passive perception of 10, which I thought was kind of interesting. You can't really sneak up on these things.
The passive perception, though, means that you can sneak up. It's going to know that you're there even if you're behind it. It doesn't have eyes, right? Like Does it have eyes?
Yeah. They're just kind of tucked away.
Oh, yeah, they're just tiny little guys.
But based on the size of it, comparatively, yes, they're tiny, but they're bigger than a man.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Okay.
Yep. They're immune to fire, poison, and then, of course, non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. They can't be charmed, frightened, paralyzed, or poisoned.
I love that they can still be stunned.
Yeah. The one other thing I really liked about them were
I just got the mental image of like one lone monk going up. Make a constitution save. It's got a 30. It's got a plus 10. But know what? It rolled really crappy. You stunned it. That monk, he's the shit at his monastery for the rest of time.
Oh, he's a legend.
Yeah. The guy who stunned the Tarrasque for 6 seconds. By punching him in the toenail.
Yeah, they call him Toe Stunner.
He's the one who grabs the, Tarrasque's hangnail and starts pulling it back into a river. Oh, not again, Dave?
Stop! Tired of you.
The other thing that you didn't mention, Dave, this thing's got a movement. It's not slow.
No, it moves 40 feet around.
Yeah.
Well, when you're, the walking mountain range, yeah.
Yeah, but still, there's a lot of large creatures that only move 20 feet. Like, large tends to mean slow in D&D terms.
Am I the only person who, every single time in the past when I've thought of the Tarrasque, I'm not thinking biped.
No, in my head, he's on all fours.
He's on all fours.
But I think it's one of those things that is biped, but it can run at you with all fours.
Yeah,
yeah, that's creepy too with this thing.
It kind of feels like the, sorry, Adam, because I know you hate this movie, but like the advanced dinosaur from Jurassic World.
Oh, I like the Jurassic World movies.
Okay. This feels like the thing that they created to draw more interest to get more people in the park.
Yeah.
It's got the long arms, it's everything else, but it is inherently a biped.
I feel like it drags knuckles. I feel like this thing is an ape with a tail.
And sharp everything.
Yeah. But I mean, like, its gait, its walk is that of like an ape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
one of the interesting things that it lost between what I'm used to, 3.5 and 5th, is an ability, I think it was called Rush. Once a minute, it could move 150 feet around.
Yikes.
Right? That's what I mean. Like, it kind of gets down on all.
I'm sure it had it, and then Jeremy Crawford said, no, we don't need CR35 creatures. Take that shit away.
I mean, that's crazy. I mean, that's the size of most of my battle maps, right?
Yep.
You're going to have to make some adjustments.
The Tarrasque goes where the Tarrasque damn well pleases.
Oh, it's that joke. Where does an elephant sit?
Where it wants.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, what else you got, Dave?
So it gets some legendary resistances, 3 a day. If it fails a saving throw, it can just choose to pass.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the
all the
Astral
legendary
Dreadnought.
creatures, they got that going for them.
That's-
And all these things, they're going to be legendary right off the gate.
Oh yeah, that's still like, that's ridiculous. Like, it undermines what your sorcerers and your wizards and everyone else are trying to do.
As someone who traditionally plays fighter type characters, good.
Okay, yeah, then you go to toe-to-toe with this thing by yourself there.
Well, I mean, that's all you can really do.
But it only gets 3 a day. It only gets 3 a day. So, like, you want to throw 3 spells at it first, right?
Yeah,
Anyways.
and then you can get in there. So anyways, this is a big scaly biped. It's about 50 feet tall, 70 feet long, and it weighs hundreds of tons. It carries itself like a bird of prey. So like you said, the Indomitable Rex?
Yeah.
Is that what it was? It kind of leans forwards. It uses its tail to balance. And it has... its mouth is big enough to just eat things and swallow them whole.
Yep.
In addition to its legendary resistance, it also gets magic resistance.
Because why not?
Right? I mean, who doesn't need advantage when making saving throws?
Yeah, right.
Right? It also gets a reflective carapace. Now, this is what I really like about it.
I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Carapace in Italian.
No, the carapace.
There we go.
You got to get the hand.
Yeah, nobody can see you making the fist.
Somewhere, wherever Terry is right now, he is screaming.
Carapace.
That's what I strive for.
So it's got the reflective carapace.
Carapace.
Yep, okay.
Anytime it is targeted by a magic missile, a line spell, or a spell that requires a ranged attack roll a d6. On 1 to 5, the Tarrasque is unaffected. On a 6, it reflects it back. Is this...
It's still unaffected.
Yeah, is this one of the only times where a magic missile doesn't automatically hit?
There's a couple ways.
There are about 3 or 4 in 5th edition. Dan's right there, a couple others. But this one straight up is, I think, the only creature that innately gets this as an ability. Otherwise, you need a spell.
Okay.
Yeah. I just love how it's if it's targeted by a spell, specifically like a damaging spell, roll a d6. On 1 through 6, it's unaffected. But on a 6, you're eating it back.
Yeah, there's no recipe
like,
for success.
It does not take that damage, move on.
The thing, you know why they did this, right? It was because the traditional way of killing a Tarrasque in 3.5 was get a bunch of people with wands of magic missile on flying carpets and just pepper it from a distance. Stay far enough away and hit it with magic missile. And now there's this.
Yeah.
Interesting. The other neat thing is that this is a siege monster, so it deals double damage to objects and structures. So it's just going to come and waltz through your city walls. It's going to rip that stable in half and eat all your horses. Like, it's just... I mean, it's a CR30. It's huge. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
For actions, it gets multi-attack. It can use its frightful presence. It then makes 5 attacks with its bite, 2 with its claws, 1 with its horns, and 1 with its tail. And then it can also use its swallow instead of its bite.
This is the response to the action economy, right? It does 6 things, frightful presence and 5 more, right? Like, that's just stupid.
Well, its bite is a plus 19 to hit, a 10-foot reach. It does 4d12 plus 10 damage.
And you get grappled.
Yeah, which the escape is a DC 20. Until the grapple ends, they're restrained, and it can't bite another target. But, I mean, it's just going to swallow you whole
Next round
anyways.
Yep.
So that doesn't matter.
Even on that round.
Yeah. Right. Its claws, I mean, again, it gets 2 of these. They're plus 19 to hit.
Yep.
So it has, you got to roll a 1 to not.
For most
Yeah. Things, right? Like, I mean, even my level 9, barbarian on a good day has 19 AC. It's just going to waltz through that.
I think the most you can get is 28, and you've got to engineer your whole character towards that. Normal, what's considered not breaking the game and engineering it, you can get up to 24, 25 AC in 5th edition. Most people will never crack 20.
Yeah.
So it's fighters that have taken a couple levels in this and a couple levels in that and have this cast on them and so on and so forth, right?
The claw, as in addition to 19 to hit, it does 4d8 plus 10 damage.
Oh, and a 15-foot reach too.
Yikes.
Yeah, that's crazy. I know I keep saying that over and over again, but it really is.
Well, this is the singular most powerful statted up monster we have in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition.
Yeah. Yeah, hands down, bar none.
So it also gets a horn attack, which is, again, plus 19 to hit. It does 4d10 plus 10 damage, and it's 10-foot reach.
Yeah, you're not getting gored by a minotaur here. You're getting gored by a bus.
Yeah.
I really feel like there should be,
sharp,
and you're
pointy
prone
bus.
at the end of this, because it knocks you the fuck down with a headbutt.
Yeah.
Tail, plus 19 to hit. 20-foot reach, 4d6 plus 10 bludgeoning damage. If the target is a creature, it must succeed on a DC 20 strength save or be knocked prone.
40 feet away. This
20 feet.
No, 20 feet away. I'm saying, if you get hit by this thing, not only are you knocked prone, you should go flying.
Yeah, you're getting, tail whipped across the room.
I mean, based on rules, no, it doesn't have
I like the idea of it's not hitting you and knocking you in a lateral movement.
It's just
smashing
you
down. It's a whopping willow hit, right?
Yep. It's got frightful presence, so each creature of the Tarrasque...
Yeah, this is the same as all the dragons have.
dragons
right?
So I'm not going to really...
Yeah, you don't need to do a
it.
deep dive on this. But 120 feet and a DC 17 wisdom, right? Yep. Save. That's... And it's standard frightful presence shit.
Yeah, last 24 hours, that kind of thing. Now, it also swallows.
Heyo.
Continue, please. Yeah, keep going.
The Tarrasque makes 1 bite attack against a larger, smaller creature that it is grappling. So it has to be grappling it already.
Yeah, which the bite does.
Yeah, so if the attack hits, then it takes bite damage, but it is also swallowed, and the grapple ends. While swallowed, you are blinded, you are restrained, you have total cover against attacks and other effects from outside the Tarrasque, and you take
16
D6 acid damage at the start of each of the Tarrasque's turn.
So I use the Tarrasque as a model for anything that can swallow something else. Now, I don't always do that level of damage from the acid damage, and sometimes if it's small enough, if it's a large creature, like a roper pulls you in, tries to eat you, I will give it a swallow mechanic that does a bludgeoning damage because it's crushing you and stuff. But I'm always looking for a swallow mechanic in D&D because the bigger creatures don't automatically get it when they really freaking should. And so I always turn
any gargantuan creature should really be walking around with a...
Any huge creature should.
I don't think necessarily huge. Because huge has that upper limit of 30 feet tall, which is big. Yeah, I get it.
I'm sorry. A giant should be swallowing a halfling. A hill giant should pick up a halfling and try to swallow. And I know it's like 12 feet and whatnot, but they should try, and it should be difficult, and they should try to choke you down.
I can see that point specifically because hill giant.
Yes.
But
Chief Guh.
Like Chief Guh, 100% should be eating.
But, I mean, shambling mounds should be enveloping as well. And so anytime I need to do this, I come over to the swallow mechanic on a Tarrasque. This is where I look, because I think it's really solid. And there's more to it. Sorry.
Well, yeah, if you deal 60 damage or more on a single turn while you're inside of it, it will regurgitate you if it fails a DC 20 con save.
That's hard to do.
It is, especially considering its constitution, it's not a ridiculous save for it to make.
Oh no, it needs to roll a 10 or above.
But I mean, that's still 50-50. That's not bad.
And you have to do 60 damage to the AC 25 creature.
From the inside.
From the inside, right? Like, it still has the same AC.
Yeah.
So, but then you get puked up and within 10 feet and you're prone.
Yeah. Also, if the Tarrasque dies, a swallowed creature is no longer restrained. It can escape by using 30 feet of movement, and it exits prone. So, I mean, if it dies, you're not trapped in there forever. The muscles relax. You can...
I love that you exit prone, though. Like, you are crawling your way out of it. You're not walking. Despite its size, it's still like you're pushing your way through its esophagus. Mm-hmm. You are coming out of a reverse birth canal on this. So...
Yep. It also has... legendary actions. There's 3 to choose from. You can do an additional claw attack or tail attack. You can move up to half your speed again, or you can chomp, which costs 2 actions, where the Tarrasque makes 1 bite attack or uses its swallow. So they're good legendary actions, but I don't think they're groundbreaking.
I don't know, man. The ability to straight up swallow somebody on not your turn.
Yeah, you bite, and so you hit and it's grappled. And before they get a turn, you can swallow them. That's the power. The bite thing, sure. I'm not sure I'm going to use 2 actions to get in a bite, unless it's my turn as the Tarrasque next. So I swallow as part of my standard multi-attack, right? Because that's an option in there. So it's the fact that you can double that shit up that makes it so terrifying. I like the fact that you can get the entire party swallowed by this thing, taking 16 d6 acid damage a round.
Yeah,
and that's not to hit. You're just straight up killing bitches.
Yeah.
And who is immune or who's resistant to acid? Black Dragonborns. That's it. There's very little that gets acid immunity. You got to go hunting that.
Yeah.
But even then, they're still restricted and they can't do much.
Well, no, the restrained only means, in 5th edition, restrained just means that your movement speed is 0. That's it.
Okay.
You get your actions, you can cast spells, you can do, it's when you get into incapacitated and prone, that's when you can't do stuff.
Now, here's a question, guys. It says to escape from it, the Tarrasque has to take 60 or more damage on a single turn from a creature.
Yep.
It actually does clarify. Cool. The Tarrasque then must succeed and regurgitate all swallowed creatures.
Yeah.
So all you need is for one person to do 60 damage. It's not 60 damage collectively. It's one person needs to do 60 damage to trigger this.
Yeah, on a single turn, not in a single round.
Yeah, on a single turn, yeah.
Yeah, but when are you going to do more attacks when it's not your turn on the inside?
Well, you have, there's quite a few classes that'll let you do reaction attacks and stuff like that as well.
Right, but reaction attacks to hit an enemy that's, yeah, okay, like Battlemaster does it, that's what you're saying. But you can't just straight up use your reaction to hit this guy, because he's not, like, normally, under normal circumstances, you can't do it because he's not leaving your threatened space.
This isn't the point I was trying to make. It's that if you have one or more people in there,
yep,
all it takes is for one of those people to do 60 damage to it for all of them to get regurgitated.
Yep.
Right? And it failing a save horribly. But,
I mean, what can do consistently 60 damage in a go? There's a couple of things, but there's not a lot, especially because it is straight up immune. Not resistant. We kind of glossed over this. It is immune to fire and poison. Those are the ones that stack quickly. You're going to rely on lightning, but you don't get 60 damage unless you're rolling really well on an acid attack.
Yep.
Or on a cold attack. Those don't exist out there. You may get the odd necrotic because you have your Finger of Death level shit.
You're depending on your melee classes for the 60 damage in a round from the inside.
Yeah, you really are, but it better not be from a non-magical weapon because they're immune to that too.
If you're fighting this thing with a random longsword that you picked up on the road on the way to fight the Tarrasque, you deserve to die. You have spent a campaign finding the weapon that is meant to kill it.
Yeah, you had to get it out of the stomach of the Astral Dreadnought.
Yeah, right? That is what builds up to this.
So, look, I think this is absolutely fantastic, but you're going to be relying on your champion fighter for that crit to get to 60. That's the point, right?
Yeah.
So, that's... Or you know what? Your rogue with the... Will a rogue get advantage?
No, but they would have to be a mastermind rogue or something like that enabled in order to get that sneak attack, because you will be at disadvantage when you are blinded. You have disadvantage to attack when you're blinded.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
So you don't get your sneak attack. But if you're like an Inquisitor rogue, it says even if you have disadvantage, you get your sneak attack.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't give that to the Inquisitor rogue because isn't that the one where you have to study it for a round?
That's a bonus action, not a round. As a bonus action.
Okay. How are you studying when you can't see? So I know what you're saying about disadvantage, but you still need to be able to see it to study it, right?
Fair enough, yeah.
Unless your character's blind and studies by touch already, then I'd give that to you. But I'm not going to let you feel the stomach to study it for a bonus action, right?
Yeah, you get that for free anyways. You can feel the stomach all around you. That's why it hurts.
Against your face.
Yeah.
Yep. You guys have a set piece you want to use this in? Let's roll.
Absolutely.
Natural 20.
Natural 10.
10-4. I got a 4.
Yeah, you got a 4. I don't know why I want to use these things as things you mount and move around on.
You want to mount everything.
Because Terry's not here and you got to work that out of your system.
No, so I like the idea, and I have played this where there was a city of kobolds that lived on top of the Tarrasque, and it was a full-on siege that we held over this keep, and then the keep started to move as they woke up the Tarrasque, and it started to move away. Doing stuff like that with the Tarrasque is brilliant. It's CR 30. Even if you are a party of 6 level 20 characters, you do not stand a chance.
Did you guys see the hit dice? It's D20 hit dice.
Yeah, 33 D20 plus 330.
That's freaking amazing.
That's ridiculous.
This thing is just, it's got 1,000 hit points.
It can, yeah.
Yeah.
If you roll high enough.
So, like, don't fight the Tarrasque. Just don't.
Just run from it.
Run from it. Point it, it's bestial, and it's dumb as a bag of hammers. So, point it towards something, and hope it doesn't, change its mind.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, this is very much it is an environmental threat when it is this thing. There are some monstrosities that are not. This is an environmental threat more than anything else.
I have a question.
So,
does Enlarge Reduce stack? If I cast Reduce and someone else casts Reduce?
No.
It absolutely does not?
I know I would run it as a no. I don't know if there are any limitations based on the spell. But it would seem to me that no, because like spell effects hardly ever stack in D&D.
That's true. But I was just curious because you know how I would get rid of this is I would just have 4 people casting Enlarge Reduce. It's going to burn through its legendary resistances pretty quickly. And it's still going to have advantage on the saves. But eventually we're going to get it down to, let's say, large or medium size. We're going to kick that fucker through a portal.
Yeah.
I don't fight this by doing damage. I fight it by plain shifting it out, right?
Taking away its advantage and then capitalizing.
From the player's handbook. The effects of different spells add together while the durations of these spells overlap. The effects of the same spell cast multiple times don't combine, however.
Damn it.
Yeah. Instead, the most potent effects, such as the highest bonus from the castings, apply while their durations overlap.
Okay.
So, yeah, unfortunately, you can't shrink this thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it has advantage on the saving throw to avoid that anyways.
I just figure that if you've got enough guys with enough wands, you get all your NPCs to join you, 100 people are casting it around. Maybe you can knock this thing down to small, but apparently not.
No.
So, okay. Dave, you're next.
So I like the idea of these things being like the silent protector of the realm. They burrow deep underground, and when, shit starts going weird, that's when they come back. When a force becomes too powerful, when a wizard becomes too powerful, they come back up from the depths of the earth to restore balance. They're Godzilla.
100%.
Right?
Yeah, current Godzilla myth where we're restoring the earth to its balance.
Yeah, it fits, right? They're going to come in, they're going to wreak havoc on your civilization, and they're going to go away again. It's a perfect fit for it.
And the main point of power is the thing they are best against. They are awesome against magic.
See, your thing was very similar to my thing. And my thing was simply, you guys go to a town, and you're going to stay there for a little while, and the rule is, nobody knows why. No one can remember why, but it's in the town charter. You do not use magic in the town. Period. You just don't. And you drop little hits and pieces about the Tarrasque lore and how long it's been since it's been seen, so on and so forth, as well as how long it's been since this city was founded. Oh, it's been here for the last 400 years, and, but it was done by people with shorter lifespans. There's no elves or whatever. So you do not cast spells. But of course they're going to want to identify things, and they're going to want to heal up. And your guys will get behind closed doors and cast spells. Well, they've got 33 D20. Every time they cast a spell, you take the level of that spell and you take 33 and you minus that number. So if they use Cure Wounds, now they have 32 uses of magic left. If they use Fireball, now they have from 32 down to 29. When they hit 0, the Tarrasque underground wakes up and you feel earthquakes and you feel tremors in the ground and there's a sinkhole over there and it's starting to move. And you have a set number of days, whatever metric you want to use, and then that town is gone because it crawls up from the dirt.
Cool. That's really awesome because there's not a lot of things you do with hit dice in this game, so throwing in like that little countdown thing on them is pretty badass.
Yeah, so I was going to say, don't use magic. Here's the balance, right? But the balance is directly in this location. Do not use magic to wake the Tarrasque.
Yeah.
The other thing that we don't have in this, which we had in previous editions, is when you reduce it to 0 hit points, it goes back to slumber. Now you can actually kill it.
Yeah.
It also doesn't regenerate, which is great because that was such a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially with it's still immune to fire and poison though, which is definitely a holdover from the days that it was regenerating.
Can't win them all.
No, this feels to me like the Tarrasque is the weapon that the gods send you after. They send you to go wake this thing up. The gods are doing it because they're not going to, because this thing will kick a god's ass.
Yep, a lot of gods. I mean, they're not going to go. The key factor here is intelligence. Mm-hmm. That's what's going to win this. You need a strategy. It has no strategy.
Yeah.
Right? So that's it. If a man can defeat a bull, a god can defeat a Tarrasque.
Yeah.
All right. So let's jump into the shout-out.
Yeah. So what we're doing for the shout-outs. So what we're doing right now while we are starting off year 2. We are kind of reveling in this excitement, this air of accomplishment for year 1. It was a really great year for us. It was, we kind of stuck our necks out on the line on a couple things, and you guys really, as a fan base, as the audience came out and supported us, and we want to say thank you for that. And one of the ways that we're moving forward here is we're doing a change with how we do our shoutouts. Before, our shoutouts were people we liked and people we were interested in. Now we want to know the people you are interested in and the people you like. And so what we're doing is we're inviting you guys to write in to info@itsamimic.com, and that's, or through the website, which is www.itsamimic.com, and you can shout out and give us your shout outs to people you know that listen, that it's their birthday, your adventuring party, something else. We want to kind of give you guys as the fan base the power to shout out who you want through our faces.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting way to put that, Dan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
take our face holes.
Our face holes
and please your friends.
And please your friends. Yeah. So Dave will go first.
Dave puckered.
Yeah.
He actually puckered.
Yeah. So this is a just response to how great you guys have been over the past year,
And thank you.
yeah, and thank you, right? Like, from those who just listen and don't comment, to those who listen and comment, to those who listen and donate. We love you all so very much. So thank you. And, we hope that you guys write in and give us your shout outs. Now, keep in mind, we do record these a little bit in advance, for our own sanity's sake when it comes to editing and everything.
For Dan's sanity's sake.
So keep this in mind when you're sending your, shout out. Like, don't send your shout out 2 days before. If you have a time frame you want, give us some lead. So send us your guys' suggestions for shoutouts through the email or through the website. And again, thank you for an awesome year one, guys. So guys, as we wrap up this little, what is it?
This is not little. This is the biggest thing we've done.
The biggest thing we've ever done, quite literally. This is a little triad of monsters. So I want to get Crackalacken on the Kraken.
Boo. Don't support
Thanks, Dave.
him.
Thank you,
Jesus.
Dave. He's still smiling to
No
this
one
day.
can see you roll your eyes, Dave.
No one can see you smile broadly at the amazing humor that I just displayed. Anyways, so the Kraken is probably the most familiar to the general populace of the monsters we just...
Release the Kraken!
Yeah, everybody go be Liam Neeson for just a moment when you get to play with these things. I have played this game for a long time, and I've only fought against a Kraken once, and it did not go well. The Kraken is a ancient beast that hides beneath the waves. It's aquatic, but it can still breathe air just fine, so don't piss it off too much to make it climb out of its watery hole to destroy your city and your civilization, because it will. This thing is evil incarnate. It is through and through seeking destruction. It loves the fact that people worship it. And
this one's got an intelligence to it, right?
it is as those in Boston would say, wicked smart. It is
Wicked smat.
Wicked smart. It's got a 22 int. Like, this thing is smarter than your average wizard, even. So, it just breathes chaos and destruction wherever it goes. They typically live underwater and attack ships, seeking to, just destroy what it is. These aren't like dragons where they want a horde. These things want for nothing but destruction.
Now, this is the only one on our list today that actually has an alignment. The other two are unaligned, right?
Yeah, it is chaotic evil.
This one has an agenda.
Yeah, it has an agenda, and it is the total destruction of everything. It is occasionally will side with the princes of the elemental plane of water to further its goals and its ambitions of destruction. But for the most part, this thing is flying solo with an army of cults behind it. There's a couple things to this. Not only do we have its normal stat blocks, but we've got lair actions for this guy too. Also, inside of Ghost of Saltmarsh, there is a juvenile version that is basically just what I will tell you now, light.
It's like the diet version of?
It's like the diet version of. It is a CR 14 to the normal Kraken's CR 23.
So, hold on. All of the numbers are lessened, right?
Yep.
Does it have fewer actions? Like, does a multi-attack get hit?
It still has a multi-attack. It uses one less tentacle. It still has this fling ability. It can't make storm clouds, but it could still harness lightning. And it is not a siege monster like the Tarrasque was and the normal Kraken is.
Okay.
Right? So there's a little bit less to it, but it is still a terrifying thing to fight.
It's still CR14.
Yeah. Especially when you consider where you're fighting these things for the most part.
Oh, the environment is everything.
The environment's everything. You're in the ocean. So not only are they CR23 and their stats line up for it to be a CR23 creature, now add the fact that you are moving at a quarter speed because you're swimming. And your weapons are rolling a disadvantage because you can't swing a sword underwater effectively.
And it's sending waves at you.
Yeah. So anyways, we'll go through the stats of this thing real quick. It's got a okay armor. Its hit points are absolutely stacked. Funny enough, it's slow unless it's in the water, at which point it clocks. This thing moves.
How fast?
So its normal land speed is 20 feet. Think of this large tentacled
It's still
fish
faster
beast
than the
kind of
Astral
pulling itself
Dreadnought.
around. But underwater, it moves 60 feet around.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. It shares a strength with the Tarrasque at 30. Its dex, same as the Tarrasque as well, at 11. Its con is slightly less than the Tarrasque's, but it's got a 25 con, 22 int, 18 wisdom, and a 20 charisma.
There's not a bad stat there.
Not a single bad stat. When your worst stat is a dex at 11, you're doing all right for yourself. And its saving throws are through the roof.
Does
It is
it get
proficient.
a dex save?
Pardon?
Does it get a dex save?
It gets a dex save. It is proficient, quote unquote, in all of the saves.
Holy shit.
So its saves are absolutely ridiculous.
What's the dex one, though?
A +7. So this thing has a +7 to all base saves. So it's got a +17 strength, +7 dex, +14 con, +13 int, and +11 saving throw.
Jeez. What, +11 saving throw?
For everything but charisma is what it covers here. So it got strength, dex, con, int, and wisdom. Does not have advantage on, or does not have any additions to its charisma saving throw.
Okay.
So there is a little bit of a misprint issue when it comes to the Kraken that we discovered while recording this. Your saving throws might vary a little bit between 17 in some of the newer books to 18 in the older books for your strength saving throw.
Yeah, in the older books, each one of the saves is one higher.
Higher. Yeah.
And it's so bizarre that got weirdly changed, and there's no mention of it anymore.
No mention.
Yeah, everything else looks the same as well. It's
So
strange.
Yeah. So just a little heads up. If our numbers don't line up with yours, you have a misprint.
Yeah. Yeah, we're running off newer versions of the monster manuals as well. So
Yeah.
if you have them, check it out. It's interesting. Anyways, I'm going to keep going. They're immune to lightning, bludgeoning, piercing, slashing from non-magical attacks. So lightning and their normal physical attacks that are non-magical, which, I mean, tracks. In terms of condition immunities, they're only immune to frightened and paralyzed, which means you can still stun these things. You can charm them. They're fairly cool that way. One of the cool things that is mentioned here, they have true sight of 120 feet. So screw your illusions, I guess. Yep, they'll see right through that. They have a decent passive perception at 14, and they understand abyssal, celestial, infernal, and primordial, but don't speak. However, they do have a 120-foot telepathic range.
So this means that it can communicate with its cultists, and the cultists don't speak common when they pray to it.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
I would have the cultist speaking primordial.
I would too. That makes perfect sense.
More so than the abyssal, celestial, and infernal.
Specifically Aquan, that dialect.
Yeah. So it's just like gurgling noises is what I would do.
There's blowing bubbles.
Yeah.
And Bubbles is so happy about it. The look on his face is like...
Is that what we're calling Terry now?
I was actually going to point everyone towards the Call of Cthulhu series we did, where you, Adam, actually did like some cult chants that were kind of bubbly sounding.
Yeah.
Go take a listen to the Call of Cthulhu stuff we did a while ago and kind of get the inspiration from there, because I was thoroughly impressed and creeped out when you recorded those for us.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Anyways, they're amphibious. They could breathe air and water. And they have freedom of movement, which means they straight up ignore difficult terrain and magic can't reduce to speed or cause it to be restrained. It can spend 5 feet of movement to escape from any non-magical restraints or being grappled.
So it can always escape anything that is...
Just by spending 5 feet of movement.
Weird.
Yep.
Well, I guess you're not going to put it inside like an iron box big enough to hold it, right? And it's going to not have bones, so because it's an invertebrate, so it's going to just be able to squeeze through, right?
Well, this thing is basically if a dragon and a squid had a baby.
Yeah, a squidron.
Yeah, but a super angry, huge baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, the Kraken is a siege monster, which is that dealing double damage to objects and structures.
Do you guys ever play with that? Do you sit there and say, hey, this is how many hit points this pillar has?
For a Kraken, yes, because it is tearing boats apart.
Yeah, I would for boats. And ships, now thanks to Ghost of Saltmarsh, have stats, right? And and you can kind of extrapolate because of Avernus as well for some of their infernal machines and whatnot. So, but like
there is in the DMG there are stats for walls and thicknesses and stuff like that.
But do you dig into that, or you just say it has to hit it 3 times and then it tears it apart?
I would. Yeah, it like
cut the mass down,
damaging the like hardness and tracking like this section of the wall has this many hit points left. That is just way too much math for my little DM brain. So
what I would do ahead of time is just say, hey, look, what's the average hit? You know, it says, it does 56 damage and then the like 3D whatever, right?
Yeah.
So what I would do is I would take that average and say how many ahead of time in my prep, how many hit points does this thing have?
Yeah.
It's going to do the average of this when it hits. Therefore, I'm only rolling to hit, and there can be 6 or 7 or whatever number of hits before this object or building is destroyed.
I'm with you on that one, but this thing has a plus 17 to hit with its bite and a plus 17 to hit with one of its tentacles.
Yep.
This thing is hitting no matter what. So I would just do simply, if it hits a section of wall 3 times or once and then grapples it, it's coming down.
Yeah, I would still run the math for consistency's sake, right?
Fair enough.
Just because if I'm on a boat, I'm not just smash boat. I'm ripping the mast off. I'm crashing into the crew quarters. I'm ripping off the rudder.
Yeah.
Like, and
that's just like have maybe a logical progression of steps of what it takes, what it removes before it tears it apart.
Well,
right?
Again, I want that specificity.
Okay.
I want it to be, if you're going to run into the Kraken more than once, if you run into a level 12 and a level 15 and a level 19, right? And you just like, it's coming. You see it destroy that ship over there.
Yeah.
And this is how it does it. 3 tentacles have to wrap around the mast to rip it off. So therefore it takes 3
exactly.
times.
Yeah.
Right.
No.
So whatever that is, and the math will tell you what to do with it.
Sure. Anyways, so moving on to actions, it's got multi-attack, which is when it can make 3 tentacle attacks, which it can replace any one of them with a fling.
I think that it should actually do 10 attacks around, but only do 1 damage, so you get 10 tickles. 10 tickles. 10 tentacles. Never mind. Fuck.
Anyway, so as I said earlier, it's got a plus 7, with its bite attack, it's got a plus 17 to hit, reach of 5 feet, which is weird for the size of creature that this is.
Well, it's not very far.
It's the bite, though, right? The tentacles reach longer.
Yeah. It's with one target, does 3d8 plus 10 piercing damage. Now, if the creature is large or smaller, it is automatically grappled and swallowed. And then the grapple ends. In 1 bite. There's no swallow, quote-unquote, mechanic. It is just, if it bites you, and you are large or smaller, and it hits, you're swallowed.
Earlier I said I like the Tarrasque's swallow mechanic better because it does give you the opportunity. It's not a great opportunity.
No.
But it does give you an opportunity, and I think the acid damage makes a little bit more sense than the swallow mechanic for the Kraken. But I like if I'm going to homebrew a swallow mechanic onto a creature, it'll be the Tarrasque version, not the Kraken version. The ability to do what you just said is special to the Kraken.
It is, and it gets worse. While in there, you're going to be taking 12d6 acid damage, which is a little bit less than the Tarrasque. If you do 50 or more damage from a creature, it vomits, but it must succeed on a DC 25 Constitution save throw as compared to the 20 a Tarrasque has to make.
Yikes.
Yep. And this thing has a plus 14 to con.
Yikes.
So it has to roll a 6 or lower to not throw up.
Yep.
So if it swallows you, there you shall be. It's just that the chances of you getting out are minuscule. However, it doesn't have the same thing like the Astral Dreadnought had where it takes a wish spell to get out of its stomach. You could try to dim door or something out, but yikes, that's still really, really powerful. Now, it's tentacles, which, I mean, if you've bought the miniature for this thing, it comes with movable tentacles that you can move around.
Not really miniature, is it?
No, it's huge. Gargantuan, even. Anyways, so as its action, you can take, as its tentacle attack is again plus 17 to hit with a reach of 30. It does 3d6 plus 10 bludgeoning damage, and then the target is grappled with an escape DC of 18. The Kraken comes stocked with 10 tentacles. So there you go, Adam. There's your 10 tentacles.
I don't get it.
Tickles.
Each of which can grapple a target. Now, also, it can fling, which...
Hold on. Fling, which I'm pretty sure the basic mechanic for fling is you fall in love over a weekend and then never speak again.
No, this could also be called by the younger generation yeet.
Oh, I get it. Oh, Dave just got fucking angry.
I don't like you.
So,
This is, you have a theme now. Like, you have a catchphrase. It's that I don't like you. Because no one can see your, like, physical facial reactions on this. And so, like, the one you give me right now is like, yeah, fuck you, bud. But that's,
Because I don't like you.
yeah, and there we go. And then you pop up a little bit later with, I don't like you. I'm going to get that on a t-shirt for you.
yeah. It's going to be like mine. God damn it, Dan. So really, you're coming out ahead on this one.
God damn it, Dan. I don't like you.
You do.
All right.
Anyways, so, as an attack, the Kraken can yeet or fling one large or smaller object or creature that is grappled up to 60 feet in a random direction.
I'm going to change that in your monster manual.
Do not write in the book.
If a thrown target strikes a solid surface, I love that this is here. I would put this in more things. If you are thrown more than 10 feet, you take damage.
That's how I run it.
So, if you are thrown more than 10 feet, you take 1d6 for every 10 feet you were thrown.
It's like the fall rules.
It's fall rules.
You fall sideways.
It's horizontal fall rules.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you are thrown into another creature, that other creature must succeed on DC 18 Dex save or take the same damage and be knocked prone.
Yep.
Yeah. It can also summon a lightning storm as an action. This is not rechargeable. This is something it could do every single turn. The Kraken summons 3 lightning bolts, which can hit any target it can see within any target it can see within 120 feet of it.
Would you like a bottle of water?
A bottle of water.
Bottle of water?
Bottle of water.
Any target I could see was just one word. All right, keep going.
Any target that it hits with the lightning bolt has to make a 23 Dex save or take 40-10 lightning damage.
Good lord. This thing still has lair actions and regional effects as well, and legendary actions that we haven't hit.
Yep.
So it's just hitting with tentacles. Now,
Throwing people around.
the lightning storm is what it can do instead of its multi-attack.
Instead of its multi-attack.
Right?
Yeah,
It's like a dragon's breath weapon. You don't get to hit with tentacles and this in a round.
Yes,
So,
but this is also, unlike a dragon's breath attack, not rechargeable. This just, you can
yeah,
do.
it just hits, yeah.
Right? There's no re-rolling a 5 or 6 to see what happens. You could just do this every turn. Right? And with a creature who is telepathic to 120 feet,
It knows you're there.
it knows you're there and it's going to hit you. Right?
I also like that it's telepathic, but its base language is going to be Aquan, right? So you just hear the sound of bubbling in your mind and then lightning hits you.
Yeah. Yep. Anyway, so now we're moving on to its legendary actions. It could make a tentacle attack or a fling as a legendary action. It can summon one of its lightning storms as a legendary action. Or, while underwater, it could blow all of its legendary actions for that round to create an ink cloud. It's a 60-foot cloud that spreads around corners. Anything inside that area is heavily obscured to all creatures except the Kraken. Each creature must then take a Constitution saving throw or take a handful of D10s for poison damage on a failed save or half as much on a successful one. Any strong current disperses the cloud, which otherwise disappears at the end of the Kraken's next turn.
It's not a 60-foot cloud, it's a 60-foot radius.
A 60-foot radius cloud. So 120-foot diameter cloud.
That's huge.
Yeah, that's your battle map.
Well, I mean, that's what it can true see.
Yeah.
Right?
Everything is black. Just everything. Everything is black. It's nuts.
It sees a red door and it wants to paint it black.
Yep.
No colors anymore. It wants to paint it black.
I don't like you.
Anyway, so we're going to move on to the lair actions and regional actions of the Kraken, which, I mean, it could summon a strong current, which requires a DC 23 saving throw or be pushed up to 60 feet away. If you succeed on the throw, you're still pushed 10 feet.
Yeah, you get hit by tidal wave, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's rogue wave, sure.
Yep.
This is on initiative count 20, like standard layer actions.
Like standard layer actions, yeah. Creatures in the water within 60 feet of it also have vulnerability to lightning damage.
Which means you're taking double lightning and it casts lightning storm.
Yep.
Possibly twice in a round.
Yep.
Yep. Cool.
And how does this work if you have resistance? This just nullifies your resistance, right? It kind of like disadvantage advantage.
Yes.
You would just take full damage, but not double damage.
I think that it's like a table that you move up and down, like a ladder you move up and down. So if it was resistance, if you're already vulnerable, nothing happens. If you're normal, you become vulnerable. If you're resistant, you go to normal.
Yeah,
if you're
okay.
immune, you become resistant.
Yeah. Okay, cool. The water in its lair can also become charged with electric energy, causing all creatures within 120 feet of the Kraken to make a Constitution saving throw or take lightning damage.
Yeah, how much lightning damage?
3d6. Not much, but...
Doesn't matter. You're still getting hit with lightning.
And it's all creatures within 120 feet.
But aren't you also immune, so it's really like taking more than that?
Yeah.
Or you're vulnerable.
You're vulnerable.
Yeah,
so it's like
that's
it's like taking 66.
Yeah.
Like, god damn. And guess what, guys? Regional effects.
Yeah, now there's regional effects. I think there's a reason why the dice chose for this guy to go as last. There's a lot to him. The Kraken can alter the weather at will within a 6-mile radius to be a control weather spell, but let's be honest, this guy's just summoning lightning storms. Right? This guy ain't making it a bright, clear, sunny day outside. He's making it rain.
Just stacks of cash.
Just stacks of very wet, rain-drenched cash. Yes. He can also, like we saw with red dragons and several of the other ancient dragons, he can cause elementals to coalesce within 6 miles of his lair. These ones, of course, are water elementals, and they are fairly unintelligent. They're just mindless elementals that are wandering around destroying.
Yeah, their intelligence and charisma are dropped, right?
To 1.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. Also, little bit of Aquaman stuff here. Any aquatic creature within 6 miles that has an intelligence score of 2 or lower are charmed and aggressive towards intruders in his area.
Cool. Hold on. I'm flipping to it. I want to see what they give us in the monster manual that can be hit by that. So you keep going.
So, of course, when the Kraken dies, all of these regional effects, and this is different from your dragons, because usually it takes some amount of days for these effects to clear with a dragon, these end immediately. The Kraken dies, this is done. Right? So, this guy's a monstrosity. He's, and like, I mean that not just as a category, like he's just a beast.
Also not the category.
Also not the category. So, well, you got the list there?
Oh, I'm trying to flip to find aquatic creatures. And so far, nothing.
Oh, I'm sure your standard trout.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Like giant crab so far is one. There are very few. Crocodile is not aquatic. It's not. I mean, it lives in the water, but it holds its breath. It's not amphibious. It can't breathe water, so it's not an aquatic creature. By D&D rules, giant octopus has an int that's too high. It's got an intelligence of 4.
Pretty much
giant
all sharks.
seahorse. It can hit giant seahorses, giant sharks as well. Let's see. Just you get stuck with all the giant hunter sharks is good. Killer whales are too intelligent.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Octopus is too intelligent. Yep. Quippers definitely. Reef sharks, yes. This is the
Basically-
most seahorses, yes. I'm starting to get into swarms. Swarm equipper, yes.
I just, like, if it's...
That's it.
The thing about this that I love is that it's all aquatic animals. So, you're going through the monster manual. These are things that can eat you.
Yeah. Well, and seahorses.
And seahorses, right? But I just see you getting within 6 miles of the Kraken and, like, cod are jumping out and like slapping you with their tails.
I got one for you. Awakened seaweed.
Yikes. That hard no. Someone who has trouble with water stuff, hard no.
Cool.
Anyways, let's grab our dice. Let's try to think one interesting usage or what was the phrasing? Fuck.
Set piece encounter.
One useful set piece encounter of the Kraken. Sure. Got a 17.
I also got a 17.
Let's reroll.
17 coming in last.
7.
Bullshit. All right, so Dave, you're up first.
No, I am.
Dan, you're up first.
8 is
Higher than 7.
Yeah.
I thought you rolled to the green one.
Yeah. So, anyways, Adam, I'm straight going to pilfer from the encounter that I had with this guy, which I thought was a great encounter.
Yeah, thank you.
There was a sunken city, and the Kraken was living in the lower regions of the city.
Yeah, the sewers.
And the sewers beneath it. And there were holes that had popped up throughout the city. And we had engineered with our party a way that we could breathe underwater and move through. So it was like we spent a couple sessions moving through this underwater city. And all of a sudden these tentacles started popping up through these holes and rifts that had, formed when the city sank to the bottom of this lake. And we were just getting harried by tentacles as this thing was attacking us. And we would get like rumbling bubbles in our minds as we were moving. And we were, of course, we're all on a time frame. So we're rushing through, not understanding what's going on. And then we get to this one part and bursting out of the ground in this, sunken city. I think we were in like a courtyard of something, like a park. But under water.
There was a space between the outer wall and the inner walls where there was an area where you had to like check in.
Yeah.
And make sure that you like registered at the city and whatnot. So you were in this big courtyard area.
Yeah. And the Kraken was down there and we had to fight him and we were not nearly powerful enough. So we ended up distracting him with something. I forget exactly how this encounter ended.
You ran. You just ran.
Yeah.
And it chased you, and an NPC, water genasi NPC.
Druid. Yeah.
Had to fuck off and pull and like get away from this thing. And you guys fought it, and then it died.
And then
as it was chasing him around.
Yeah. And then it raised as a zombie Kraken.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our campaign's interesting. Anyways, so, having this thing use guerrilla tactics on top of everything else that it has.
Like thump its chest.
Not gorilla. Gorilla.
Yeah.
Was terrifying, was a series of encounters I will remember for years to come. Like it was a great usage of this guy. You would have to bend your campaign heavily, I think, to be a big bad evil guy with the Kraken.
Yeah, look, the Tarrasque and the Astral Dreadnought can appear for an encounter.
Yeah.
With a little bit of warning.
The Tarrasque could do 3 or 4, but they're not the big bad evil guy.
No, the Kraken might be.
You think the Kraken might be the big bad evil guy?
With its intelligence of 22 and the ability to have cults as well as raise its young, yes, it absolutely can.
Cool. Anyways, that's me. Dave, what you got?
I like the idea of having this thing need your help. I like the idea of swapping the roles of the big bad guy, and maybe you have to help him out. Maybe this thing got frozen in the ice, during the last ice age, and you have to help it.
And it's psychically
but you get close. Maybe you're all Tritons just to pick the low-hanging fruit, and you came within 6 miles of this, and
clerics of Kuatoa.
It's been talking to you telepathically to try to get you to figure out some sort of way to get it back to the ocean where it wants to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. I like it.
Yeah, I'm on board with it. Yeah.
I really want, you don't all have to be Tritons, but you could definitely take one of your regular players and they would say, hey, I want to take a level of Warlock. I'm thinking great old one. You go, hold on, I've got a thing for you. And it's a Kraken. And the Kraken's communicating psychically. For whatever reason, it's in a magical amplification area that it can hit with this. So I would take that I would ramp that up to the next level and give the Warlock, right? The cult of the Kraken.
Yep.
So that brings me to my set piece encounter. My set piece encounter is a slow build. I'm talking tier end of tier 3. You guys are doing some island hopping. You're out in the coast, and shit has gone strangely weird with a couple of the islands out here. The trade ships are not getting through anymore, and you're tasked with figuring this out. And once you do, you get, I don't know, the MacGuffin, the item you need from the prince. Just go over there and figure this shit out. And so, when you go out and you find that everyone's acting a little bit weird, everyone's all kind of just wet all the time.
Yeah.
And it's the slow cult of the Kraken build-up to the end where you realize that there's a juvenile Kraken, and you kill it. Right, because it's CR14, there you go, whatever, that's fine. My set-piece encounter is you at the top of a lighthouse as the Kraken, the mother Kraken, is climbing up out of the water and up the lighthouse at you. And you guys are in the top of the lighthouse fighting it as the tentacles are smashing in through windows. And it is a siege monster trying to tear this massive... Maybe the lighthouse was built by storm giants, right? But it is pulling the bricks out of this thing, and it is a huge literal set piece that you are in, and the Kraken is climbing it to get at you, to enact its revenge. And so it's out of the water. It's not getting all of its crazy lair water shit. It can still hit you with lightning, but you're not in the water, so you're not vulnerable to it. That's why I'm saying end of tier 3, because I'm kind of neutering a couple of its abilities, but it is still going to fling you from the lighthouse. That is what I want to see for a level 15 part. You've got enough hit points to land in the water, now you're fucked, right?
Yeah.
But still, that's how I would play a Kraken.
Your entire party's like staying inside because they don't want to get hit by lightning.
Yeah, and they're blasting their level 7 and 8 spells and like throwing shit. Just, we don't have anything. Use a cannon. We don't have cannonballs. No, throw the cannon. Push it. Right? Like you're doing whatever you can to knock this thing away.
Yeah.
And maybe you have an NPC that's slowly opening up a portal for you to escape. Right? But they need the 10-minute ritual. You're on minute 8 and this thing starts climbing. What are you going to do to stall it? How are you going to get through this? Ticking clock, right?
You have 20 rounds. Survive.
Yeah. You won't. Nothing lasts 20 rounds.
No.
But, I mean, maybe the cultists are banging at the door coming in at first, and then for the last 5 rounds, the Kraken is there.
Yeah.
Right? So, anyway, that was my set-piece encounter.
Nice.
Okay. So, and of course it's raining. Like storm, hurricane rain and shit. Like, yeah.
And the area is lit. I mean, you're in a lighthouse, but let's be honest, it's out. And you're using the spot where the flame is for the lighthouse to summon this portal out. So it's like dead center. And the entire battle is lit by the crashes of lightning.
I like it. I'm with you for the cultists part of it. And the cultists are like coming up the stairs and they're throwing tridents and stuff. And I like it. And then finally the guy doing the ritual says, I need to be able to have consistent light. Light the lighthouse. And you light it and it spins and you can see the Kraken moving beneath the waves as it comes every other round. You get an idea of how much closer it is.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like this is fun. I want to do this now. My nipples are so hard. I'm just so fucking excited. Is there anything else that we want to talk about here?
Definitely not your nipples.
Really?
Definitely not his nipples.
Okay, I'll go with that.
I could use 10 tickles.
Dave, you're still technically just above intern. That's your responsibility. Anyways, Adam.
Anyways, some milk in that coffee, bitch. Anyway, that's it for this week's episode on Monstrosities. You can find us on iTunes and Spotify and dozens of other podcast apps. You can also find us at www.itsamimic.com or email us at info@itsamimic.com. Thanks for listening to the It's a Mimic podcast, and make sure to check us out next week when we're discussing heroic destinies of player characters. That means we're going to go over the mechanics and how we would tweak them, much like my nipples, for alignments, honor, and sanity rules. Look, most of the freaking monstrosities are all just like mashed together amalgamations of parts of beasts, and you know, the chimera is one, the manticore is another one. They're just smashing shit together, right? Like the Hydra isn't even different beasts; it's the same beast multiple times, right? Like. I'm not overwhelmed by the general monstrosities. Like, oh, we'll put a crab back on this and a turtle beak over here. And it's like God's grab bag of animal parts.
Yeah.
It's how we came up with the platypus. The platypus is the only real monstrosity that exists in reality because it's just smashed together bits and pieces of other fucking animals. And by the way, it's got venom. Sure it does. Fuck, whatever. Anyway, if you guys, I got a question though. If you guys could add one real animal ability or body part to yourselves in real life, what would it be?
You want to roll?
Yeah, let's roll. Well, Dave and I are rolling off. Come on. Oh, you got 2 5s in a row. All right, Dan, you're up first. What do you got?
Okay. Any
Whale penis.
crossed my mind.
I want to be a sperm whale.
No, I don't know, man. Like, I'm already big, already strong. So, like, the idea of adding, like, just something to increase strength.
Do you want, like, a horse's mane?
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
That would actually hair. Yeah, can I just have, I don't know,
A rabbit? Like a hare?
an Italian's hair or something like just.
Don't pick people by races, Dan. It's God, fuck you, racist piece of shit.
I don't know, man. Like, I want a tail. Like, I wouldn't mind like
Like prehensile.
a prehensile tail. I want to be able to do shit with the tail.
You're not talking scorpion tail. You're talking monkey tail.
I'm talking monkey tail. Yeah. Like there's a little thought of me going, okay, scorpion, maybe like stingray, or like freaking go porcupine with it and just throw quills at things. But
They don't shoot quills, right? They just hit you and then unclench around the quill.
no, they're able to shoot the quills.
I don't know. You're both looking at me.
That's because you're the hunter.
I don't hunt porcupines
Why not? Hedgehog.
because they can shoot quills at you.
All right, Dave. What's yours?
You know, the one thing that I really absolutely despise about everyday life is when you get up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're walking through your dark room and you stub a toe. I want cloven hooves for feet.
Okay, you went. You took a hard left. I'm like, you want the ability to see in the dark. Yeah, that makes good. No. You want cloven feet.
Yeah, I want to not hurt myself when I stub my toe at 3 in the morning, and I want to be really good at climbing rock walls without my hands.
Dude, that's badass.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Dan.
Right? Like, come on, is that a bad answer?
No, it's not.
It's great. It's great.
It was just a left turn because wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, stumbling through a thing. I'm like, dark vision, cool.
You know what I want? I want the ability to swivel my head around like an owl. And I want to be the only person that can do it.
What?
Yeah, and I just want to be able to like look at somebody behind me and freak them out. I also want to be like, oh man, my neck is so stiff, and then crack, 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 and suddenly it's on backwards. Like I just that's what, like I'm only going to use my powers to annoy people. Like, so that's no one is surprised.
Adam doesn't have the eyes on the back of his head. His head just turns around.
And who are you?
Thank you for listening to an It's a Mimic production.
Okay, you're done. Get it.